It's the show the establishment warned you about.
And thank you for joining us. This is Dr. Tommy Show, live from Tampa, Florida, featuring myself, America's Free Market Doctor, and America's Free Market Nurse, Tracy, who is slurping her coffee.
Good morning.
And that's not to be rude. As Rush says, whenever he drinks on the radio and he slurps, that's just so that you know that he's not forgot about you. He's letting you know that, hey, I'm still here. I'm just drinking.
Those are my intentions exactly.
So it's not rudeness. It's not bad habits or being disgusting. It's just we want you to know, hey, we're still here. We're just slurping on some coffee, so we did not forget about you. America's Free Market Doctor, Dr. Tommy Show, is brought to you by Atlas MD, which is the preeminent medical software for membership medicine practices across the United States, growing wildly like everything that is innovative and amazing should in the free market, and that's Atlas MD. If you want to learn more about Atlas MD, go to Dr. Tommy Show. That's drtommyshow.com. Click on special offer for Atlas MD. Then you can use it for free for 60 days, which, if you're doing the math at home, is a $600 value. That is a lot of money. That is like 10 direct primary care memberships in a average direct primary care practice. So that's a lot that you can save. And thank you to Einstein Brothers. There's a new Einstein Brothers in Tampa. If you're in Tampa, it's on 10802 North Del Mabry Highway, and it is Scott Mellon is the general manager, and he was kind enough to send over some bagels today from Einstein Brothers Bagels. So 10802 North Del Mabry, and if you're in Tampa, then that would be it would be south of Bears, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're 16110 North Florida. Well, actually, no, I misspoke. I'm not sure where that is, but just Google it.
You said it's on Del Mabry?
North Del Mabry.
North Del Mabry. Oh, North Del Mabry. So it could be.
It's hard to say.
It could be north.
Probably in the Carrollwood area, but we don't know. Anyway, Einstein Brothers, delicious smelling bagels, and go see them. Thank you, Scott. We have not really prepared too much today because of just didn't prepare much, but I just quickly went on like I'm apt to do 970 WFLA to see what to talk about, and boom, boom, there it is. I already have two things to talk about. One of them is, this is posted by Bill Galluccio, and this is from 970WFLA.com. Cops shoot and kill homeowner who has just shot intruder. This is terrible. Just now, police in Aurora, Colorado made a tragic mistake early Monday morning. They were called to a home following a reported break-in. When they arrived on the scene, they heard gunshots coming from inside the house. When police went inside, they discovered a, quote, very chaotic and violent scene, according to police report. As they entered the home, the responding officers encountered an armed man and opened fire. Unfortunately, the man they shot and killed was not the intruder. He was 73-year-old Richard Black, who lived in the home and had called the police to report the home invasion. Police searched his house and found the body of the intruder in the bathroom floor, who Black had shot. A child who was injured by the intruder was taken to the hospital for treatment for serious but not life-threatening injuries. This is a heartbreaking, tragic situation for everyone involved. Police Chief Nick Metz told KDVR, "We're providing assistance through our victim advocates to help the family of the deceased resident through this very difficult time." Well, that's all well and good, but why the hell did they shoot the guy?
What was so chaotic if they did not see the man dead when they first got there, because it said they found him later in a bathroom? So what was chaotic? I
don't know. Was the guy shooting into the dead person?
So the intruder was found dead in another room.
Yeah.
The young child had been shot or injured somehow. Well, I don't know if he was shot, but he was injured somehow.
Granted, this is armchair Monday morning quarterbacking on the police, which I don't want to say that they did something wrong, but I'm thinking of myself. If I've just killed somebody who's intruding in my home and I'm holding my gun, the police come in somehow. I guess the door's open. They open the door and they see me with the gun. I don't want to get shot. Mm-hmm. If anything, I want to hear, "Police, put your hands up." Okay, cool.
Right.
Drop the weapon. Cool. Right. Not just like, there's somebody with a gun, shoot him. I hope that's not what happened.
Well, the story is vague, so we need to hear more. But did they tell this man to put his gun down? And he did not do it. Did he point the gun at them?
Right.
It's, you know.
Did he say, Yeah, did they come in and the guy's shooting all over, and then he turns and points the gun at them and they shoot him? Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
But if they just walked in the room and they said, damn, there's been something going on here. There is! Bam! Then
right.
That's bad news.
Right. I wish they would not have used the word chaotic. Instead, I wish they would have used details.
Yeah. Yeah. Chaotic means what? You know, I don't know what that means.
Right.
Anyway.
Don't you think anytime you come upon someone with a gun and there's been someone injured and it would feel chaotic
This
to
is
me.
not likely to hit the national news because there was I don't see anything that would trigger the national news to follow this. Maybe that's a reason for the national news to say that there shouldn't be guns ever, because just look what happens when you have guns. But if it involves some type of they'd have to have something else in there to trigger their interest. Some other trigger would have to be in there, whether it be racial, sexual, something to do with healthcare. Maybe if this guy did not drop the gun because he had not had healthcare because of Donald Trump, and then he was confused, then it would hit the national news. But unless they can tie it back, if it's just a fact-finding mission, figure out what happened, don't count on it. The national news covering this. So this may be all you ever hear of it. Anyway. On
a serious note, I've heard that this has happened before. I read an article maybe 6 months ago that there was an intruder and the man shot the intruder, and then when police showed up,
they shot the guy.
They shot the guy at the door, at his door.
What the hell? Then next time, if it ever happens, I think I'm going to go ahead and shoot the guy first, and then call the cops later and say, I'm going to be out on the curb waiting with my family. Don't shoot us when you roll up. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, what are you supposed to do? I have thought about this before, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what if you have a situation, you call the cops, like, somebody's outside my window. Okay, sir, be calm. We'll be there in, 5 minutes. Well, no, I'm going to get my shotgun right now. So hopefully you find someone who the police are trained enough to know that, I don't know. It's hard to say. Well, the answer to this from the mainstream media, or quote unquote, mainstream cultural, people who say what happens, people who tell us that, healthcare's are right. Those people who say that, there's too much gun violence because of guns. Those people, the establishment, you call them, of the cultural establishment, will say this is a reason that none of us should have guns. Only the police should have guns. Because if let's say that guy broke in, if there was no guns allowed, then he would not have had a gun. Then it would just come down to them fighting it out old style. Kind of like what we saw last night. Holyfield Bow. They would have just been going at it, hands and fists. And maybe if it got too crazy where they brought knives, you could do like they do in Britain and ban knives, kitchen knives, or you have to dull the end of your kitchen knife. So if he did break in, he's just using a butter knife and no one gets hurt until 10 minutes later when the police show up. They're, all right, boys, put them down. So that's their answer is no guns, no problem. Just eliminate all guns. Would never have this problem. It
would not have been much of a fight. This was a 78-year-old man that was shot and killed by the police.
Well, maybe there'd be a government program.
I hardly doubt the intruder
to train him the
same age
way to hit the guy. No, you're right. This is the reason to have a weapon. You're older, you're vulnerable, or whatever. You just want to protect yourself. Some person comes in trying to assault you, take them out, and you don't want to get shot.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I feel safer. Even Kaylee, our 7-year-old, I know that she feels safer knowing that we have weapons in the home. So when someone knocked on the door the other day, and you weren't home, so I had.
Oh yeah.
And it
was the sheriff's office. Sheriff candidate.
He was there.
So tell them what happened.
Well, someone knocked on the door, and I had just my bathrobe on. And Kaylee says, "Who is it?" And I said, I don't know. And then I said, "Can I help you?" Through the door. And he said, "I'm here from the sheriff's office." Basically, he was there lobbying, for, voting, campaigning for him. And I said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to open the door." And then he said, "Oh, that's all right, ma'am. Can I go ahead and put a flyer on the door handle?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely, go ahead." But then Kaylee asked me if I had the gun.
Right.
And I said, "Well, we don't need the gun, but we do have a gun just in case."
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason to pull out a gun.
We went to you're going to go to Dollar General one day.
Yes. Kaylee did not want to go with me unless I had the gun, and I did not have it. So she said she did not want to go because there was a lot of scary people that went into Dollar General.
And she said what?
I can't remember what
she said. We'll wait till tomorrow.
Yes, we'll wait until tomorrow till you have the gun. I don't want Kaylee to grow up thinking, to be trigger happy.
Yeah.
But she understands that we need to protect ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I remember one time this is actually the day we were going on a trip, and we went to Dollar General, and I was walking in. I was about to go. We're about to get into the doors, and Kaylee was walking with me, and she just looked at me. She goes, "Do you have your gun?" I said, "Yeah, it's right here." And I patted my appendix carry, and she's like, "Okay, cool."
Well, even we always had guns by the bed. Even Madison growing up, I had a shotgun by the bed. I slept with the shotgun by the bed because I slept home alone, and it was just Madison and I, and I felt safe. But Madison understood, don't ever touch it.
So what's the likelihood that Kaylee's going to pick up that gun and just start pointing it at anybody?
I could not imagine that she would ever touch it, because she was going to get the keys from my purse, and which is the gun was in there, and she looked in there for the keys, but then she seen the gun, and then
now if she had never seen a gun, and she had only heard about guns or whatever, seen them in the movies, is that celebrities?
Oh yeah, she'd be pulling it out, looking at it. This is cool.
Celebrities who chastise us about owning weapons, usually from different countries that don't allow that. They say, you shouldn't own weapons. Weapons are only for celebrities who live in Hollywood, who have big walls. They need protection. They're not for you. And you should buy our movies where we shoot them up. We use them all over in our movies and have all this kind of gratuitous violence. Buy our movies. We'll use them. You don't have them at home. Those celebrities, they would tell us that, you shouldn't have the guns. But in reality is, if you look at... they did Dateline before, and I'm surprised this passed the censors over at the mainstream media censors. But anyway, Dateline did this thing where they had a gun that was on a table, and they had cameras. And this is, like I said, this probably, if they tried to do this today, would not pass the censors.
I remember this.
The editors/censors
that wasn't too long ago that they did that article.
Who formed the narratives that we were supposed to consume, they would not allow. So anyway, they had this hidden camera, and they're in a room, and there's 10 kids, 8 kids, whatever it was. They had two groups of kids. Kids that had been exposed to guns before, maybe grew up around hunters, law enforcement, or like us, we have a concealed carry. They know what a gun is. They know you can carry a gun concealed, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that one group of kids like that. Then another group of kids who had never been exposed to guns in that manner, as far as, I don't know exactly what the criteria was, but they'd never been exposed to guns. Guns to them are something that's dangerous. You pick it up, it'll kill everybody in the room potentially. Don't touch with guns. Guns are bad. Guns should be banned. So those two groups of kids. So they put the hidden camera up there, and they said, all right, kids, mommy and daddy are going to go look at timeshares. All you kids go in here and just have fun. Have fun. It's like a living room. And so they did. They went in. And the first group of kids who had been exposed to guns walked in. There was a gun sitting on the table. What's the chances? A gun. Loaded gun. Well, they don't know if it's loaded or not. It's sitting on the table. Stay away. They didn't touch it. Second group of kids, for those of you scoring at home, went in. Guess what they did? Within seconds, they're picking up the gun, pointing it. They don't know if it's loaded or not. It wasn't loaded. Pointing it, chasing each other around. That just goes to show you what can happen if you do have a gun at your home. You should do your due diligence. Show your child, look, this is what a gun is. This is not for you to touch. This is dangerous. This could kill you.
Absolutely, yes.
And then if you choose not to have guns, I don't think it should be like a mystery to children. I don't know how you tell them though.
Well, I personally think that it should be, you should discuss it with your child no matter what, whether you have guns in the home or not, because you have your 10-year-old, your 11-year-old goes to his friend's house, and your friend's the parents have guns. And they decide to pull it out and look at it and play with it. And I've heard those stories before where children have shot each other. But I think it should always be included in, you're talking to your child about how to call 911 or if this happens or, whatever. But that should be included in something that you teach your children. Do not ever play with guns. You just never should do it. Yeah. And anyway, I feel confident that Kaylee and Madison will not touch a gun without an adult.
My whole point about this dissertation about the Dateline thing is, now if you were to tell mainstream culture police that story and say who would be more likely to use the weapon on each other, they would say, oh, definitely the kids who know about them, because they know how it works. The kids who grew up in a hunting family, they're going to be shooting each other right away.
I'll give an example.
Right away.
So,
But they're ill-informed.
I will give an example of what happened recently. My father gave you a new shotgun, a 20 gauge shotgun, and we had put it on the fireplace. It had been on the fireplace. We'd been working at my house all day. The gun had been on the fireplace all day long. Kaylee was there all day, never acknowledged it, never touched it, nothing. There was just, it was there on the fireplace. And then someone showed up with a couple children, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, and they immediately went to that gun and was touching it in a matter of minutes.
Now, that may be that the one was a boy and one was a girl. Who knows?
That's possible. That's possible.
But the point is yes, there was two very different
and their mother had
approaches.
To get on to them and say, what are you thinking?
Right.
They don't have guns in their home, but what are you thinking? You know nothing about this weapon.
Yeah, but you're right. Kaylee didn't touch it the whole time.
She never touched it. It could be the fact that she's a girl. You do hear, when you hear about children shooting other children, it is usually boys. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know. I feel like it's because she is aware. You don't touch guns.
One thing too about this thing about the police officers is when I was doing my concealed carry class, I remember they said, okay, so you get pulled over by a police officer and you concealed carry, so you're carrying. You're carrying on your person, you got it in your console, whatever the case is. They say that in my class, they say you should carry it on your person. They say it's easier to get to if it's still, even if you're seated, if you're carrying it than if you reach, whatever the case is. You have this legally concealed weapon, and they say, what should you do if the police officer comes up and says license and registration, you're getting pulled over because you have a blinker that's not working? What should you do? Are you obligated to tell them that you have a concealed carry permit or that you have a weapon in the car? No, you're not.
You don't have to.
No, you don't have to. And they said, well, should you? And then they gave the two schools of thought. One says no, not unless it comes up.
I believe that I would.
Okay, but how would you do it?
Because I carry it in my purse.
How would you do it? How would
I
you
would
say
tell
that?
the officer,
okay, let's pretend like I'm here. Ma'am, license and registration.
Yes.
I'm looking, blah, blah, blah. Are you Tracy? Is this your car?
Well, because I'm going to be digging in my purse to get my license.
So what? Okay, so you're about to dig in your purse. So you're digging in your purse.
Yes, I would tell him, yes, officer, I'm going to get it. They're located in my purse, but I want to let you know that I have a concealed carry permit and my gun is in my purse. Let me know what you'd like, how you would like me to proceed.
Very good. Now, what you do not say is you do not ever say, hello, officer, I have a gun.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Here's how they told us to say it. Police officer approaches a car. If you wish to tell them, if you don't have to. If you wish to tell them, this is how they suggested. So, hey, sir, how are you doing? License and registration. Okay. Did you notice you ran over a dog back there? Yeah, I didn't even notice. Okay. And then you say, I am a concealed carry. I have a concealed carry permit and I am carrying. So, because cops, and this other thing, police officers hear the word gun. So you're dealing with this guy. There may be a guy on the other side that you didn't even see because they may have two people and they're trying to protect themselves. So they have 2 points of contact. This guy you're talking to, you say, gun. This guy, all he hears is gun. It may be like these police officers, what gun? Boom, boom, blow you away.
Right.
So they say, do not use the G word. Do not say gun. Do not use say gun. Just say, I am a concealed carry permit holder and I am carrying.
Yes.
And then that's it.
How would you like me to proceed? Yeah. Do you want my purse?
Yes.
Because my purse is pretty giant. Like a lot of women carry big purses. And I have been pulled over by the police before in the evening and they shine the flashlight all in the car in the back seat. And so if they are able to see inside my purse and see this weapon, I feel like they would want to know why I didn't just go ahead and divulge the information to them. Yeah. So I think if you're upfront, you're going to save yourself some problems.
But don't say gun. That's what they said. In my class, they said, don't say gun.
Yeah. Here's my driver's license and I have a gun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me get, it's next to my gun. Because like you said, that guy behind you on the other side may just hear gun.
Right.
And boom, you're done.
I think communication is key. But yes, there are some police officers that are new to the force.
Right.
And, I would never want to be a police officer. I would be, God, I just could not do it. I would be so scared that I would, do what happened this morning, come into what they call a chaotic scene and make a wrong choice, make a wrong decision.
This is from 970 WFLA National News, posted by Bill Strange. President Trump says there's never been a better time to learn a trade. President Trump says there's never been a better time to learn a trade. Appearing at a technical high school in Tampa last evening, Trump promoted workforce development programs. He noted commitments by some companies to create apprenticeships and on-the-job training programs. After concluding his remarks, Trump signed legislation aimed at promoting jobs training programs in the U.S. He also touted what he called a, quote, incredibly booming economy and said this is an excellent time to invest in America. That's something we've been talking about before. Trade programs.
Yes. My daughter,
technical
Madison,
programs.
did it.
Yeah.
She did the vet tech program, and it allowed her to get her a job while she was in high school and get certified. And
welding.
Yeah, they have welding, auto mechanics, CNA. You need to be a certified nursing assistant,
air conditioning repair, whatever. If you need that stuff done, here's the beauty about technical. Guess who's the one to pay for that?
To pay for
welding, air conditioner repair, something that's technical, typically a trade, quote unquote.
I don't know what you mean, really.
Okay, so say you say I'm going to grow up, I'm going to be a doctor.
Okay,
I get a job as a doctor. Blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to go work for a Big Health United health group, and then so you get there and you are working for this big company, and these people come in and they're seen by you. You give them service. They don't pay you,
right?
Hell, the only person who pays you is your employer. You doing a service, you don't get paid by the patient. Patient doesn't pay the employer either. So this is the big triangulation or whatever you want to call it, quadrilateral transaction. So the consumer, the patient, pays the insurance company. Insurance company pays your employer for work that you did. Now, how screwed up is that? Right. And you can see very shortly how there could be a lot of miscalculations on prices, a lot of abuse by these parties that are supposed to be taking care of you or paying you. You're a trade person. You may have an employer, but it's a much more direct relationship. And what I was thinking is, so you're a mechanic. Let's say you're a mechanic. Like we go to Country Club Auto here in Tampa. If I go to Country Club Auto and I take the car in and I say, "Hey, car's acting funny. I don't know. It's grinding when I, do this. I turn right, it grinds." Okay, I go in there, and then or it's making a popping sound when I turn. I go in there and I tell them, and I drop it off. They call me back later, and they go up there, and James tells me, "We found the problem. It was a tie rod end, and we corrected it. And it's $400." Well, then I'm just okay. Well, I have to just give him my money because he fixed my car. And there's no co-pays. I just pay him. And he doesn't have to file any type of, he doesn't have to go prove to my insurance company. He doesn't have to send a claim to Farm Bureau and say, "Hey, one of your clients, McElroy, just brought in a Nissan Maxima and it needs a tie rod in." Well, what year is the Nissan Maxima? That's 2011. Well, according to our calculations, it doesn't need a tie rod in until it's 12 years old, and it's not even 12 years old yet. Well, it does need one. Okay, that's fine. Just take a picture of it.
If you get prior approval.
Yeah, fill out the thing online, and then before you know it, I can get my tie rod in and done. It probably take 3-4 days and cost about $1,700 because all those people have to get involved in it. So this is a good idea to do trades.
Well, at Madison, I don't know if you were there for this event or not, one of the scholarship events. There was about, I don't know, maybe 10 students from Madison School that did electrical. And
I saw that. Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, so they were already
apprentices.
Yes, so they were already. Some of the children did not get to even come to
because they were working.
They were working. They did not come to some of the celebrations or the practices because they were already in the work world.
Okay, now let's play devil's advocate. Okay, why is that a bad thing? trades, trade education.
Well, we know it's going to be bad for colleges, big 4-year colleges, because these children learn the trade in high school.
And let's say that. Okay, so they don't go to college, but they still go to a training center.
They do go to a training center,
What's
but
the
it's paid for
difference?
by the school, not by the student, so it helps the child out.
Well,
let's say
that even then, so let's say that it was paid by the same people. Let's say that the technical school somehow got government money to do it. Still train them. Although you're right, usually the person pays directly. They don't. But let's say they got a Pell Grant or whatever, some type of government aid. They still were able to use government subsidized money, get a government subsidized education for training in a technical program, and they still did it. Why else is that a bad idea?
I don't see that it is.
I don't see it as from their standpoint.
I don't know. Tell me.
This is the thing. In order, just like Sun Tzu says, you have to know your enemy, basically, political enemy, philosophical enemy, as good as they know themselves or better. The reason it's bad is, how do you teach dogma to someone when you're teaching them welding? How do you mold their mind to be the way that you think their mind should be?
So they missed out on the whole indoctrination, is what you're saying.
Exactly. How do you tell a child, hey, America's a bad idea? Like they're apt to do. America was founded on racism, bigotry, homophobia, against transgenderism. All those things are bad. That's why we must deconstruct America today. We have to continue the progress we have made in deconstructing America and making it a more socialistic, government-centered, fair organization or institution.
Yes, they miss out. They miss
How
out
do you
on
do
those
that when
children.
you didn't put enough powder in there when you're soldering? Now your weld's weak. By the way, you know what else is weak? The whole Constitution. It's harder to say. It's easier to say when you're teaching history. Because you're teaching history and you're saying, hey, look at all these things that happen. And by the way, that's why America sucks. And that's why we have to change it. Look at slavery. Slavery was made by the forefathers, the founding fathers. They were all slave owners. They sucked. Slavery sucks. They suck. Constitution sucks. Now, do you want to let's make it a new Venezuela. Let's call the United States New Venezuela.
Yeah.
And it's easier to do that than in a training program when you teach someone to weld. You're teaching someone even phlebotomy skills. It's harder to instruct. Hey, did you know it's racist to do whatever the way you're doing your puncturing that vein's racist? What are you talking about? It's easier when you just slip it in there.
Right.
That's another reason they're against. That's why a lot of it is built on these degrees that are not technical. Like even in the 4-year degrees, that they like to push things that are very, they call them the social sciences, things where they can easily mold the kids, the young skulls full of mush, as they call them, as Rush calls them, when they arrive at school. And if they're not properly fortified by their parents, they're just, whatever you teach me, I'm gonna absorb.
I don't know if I told you this, but a friend of mine, her son he has one class or a couple classes left to do of his associate's degree, and it stopped. He just could not take it anymore. He said listening to those teachers every day. This is Angela's son. He's going to just do online, so he's not subjected to the teachers and the classmates, because someone else was like that. Oh, Nico. He says it was so difficult for him to sit through these classes. Yeah,
they say college is a place where you can go explore your interest. You can go from being a complete left-wing radical to a complete right-wing radical, and that's okay. They're going to let you explore your
and that's not the case.
No. If you go to most colleges, you are going to be
it's their way or the highway.
And everybody who's been on campus knows this. If you don't, maybe go visit campus if you haven't been there recently. And you just have to learn, if you're not of their bent, I'd say the anti-free market type, anti whatever we talk about. If you're not of that bent, the best thing to do is kind of keep your head down, get done, get out of there. Because if you try to stand up too much, you can, but very well you may get failed.
Well, and that is very true. And
which is terrible.
Both of these boys are about the same age. Noah's a little bit older. But anyway, he just said, I'm done with this. I'm going to take online. I cannot sit through this any longer.
Or become a welder or, whatever. That's another reason, like I said, that's why that's a bad idea for the people out there who are trying to mold the future generations who want to mold American children now to become believe that government is both competent and fair and able to solve all of their problems. Those people do not want anyone to be doing technical stuff. They want them to go to these 4-year schools. They want the 4-year schools to, as much control as they have, be able to control what the kids learn and then spit them out and make them do the right things because they're statists. And a statist is a person who believes that the state is basically the supreme being. The state is the supreme being. The state, if it's run by the right people, mostly people who believe in statism, can make all of the decisions the smart way. This goes all the way back to the progressive movement, where the progressives said, look, governing is a science, and as long as we get the right people, the smartest people in the place, we don't have to worry about all this. Free market's chaos. Like, free market is people swap. Someone may buy something for $2 and they might buy it for $10. All that, we can have someone figure out what the real price is. We'll do a study. We'll find out the price is $5. Then we'll give the population $5 and they can buy it from our selected person, our vendor. That's the state-run economy, state-run everything. Those people who believe that do not want any part of kids getting outside the system and being indoctrinated any way other than their way. It's very surreptitious. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Trump's goal of getting more technical programs in the high schools will work. Yes.
Putnam.
It's
who Trump is not endorsing.
He's not endorsing, no.
He endorsed the other one, Congressman DeSantis.
I don't know. I haven't read enough about it. I to know why he chose.
It would be nice to have either Congressman DeSantis or Adam Putnam call in or even be on the show.
Well, Adam Putnam, he should call. Why not?
Why not? Hell, not Milton Friedman. Walter Williams has been on the show. Who's bigger than Walter Williams? That's it for today. Today we're going to... shout out to Dr. Launder for writing in. She said that she enjoyed our program on DPC and the government, and she had some thoughts about it. And so thank you for all the doctors listening out there, and thank you for everybody listening. If you want to subscribe, go to iTunes, hit the bell. iTunes, whatever. YouTube, hit the bell. Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. Subscribe on whatever your podcast media is of du jour. And this is a song from Black Keys from Chulahoma album. This is Nobody But You, written by Junior Kimbrough. For all of y'all listening, thank you. Until next time, bye-bye.